Hello, I'm back. It's Flo and T9A in Bavaria. I'm still going to tell you about what's happening with 3.0, what has been told and spoiled so far. And so we'll go in live now. Okay, here we are again. Last time we were talking about the goals. Well, I continue right there. The goal of the third edition is to continue the legacy of the second edition. Basically, the overall feel of the game shall stay the same, but it should be more an improvement, an evolution, and a revolution. We want maximum gain with minimal change. And what does that mean in detail? Well, we'll come to that later. So we want to preserve and prioritize the things which are good and change those which make bad things. So basically we make things better, which take time, which are too complicated, which are too much hassle for too less result. So the fantasy battles should become, well, you still want a rank and file gameplay. You want support and initiative infantry battle line playstyle, offering tactical options for both single models and regiments. And of course, cavalry should have its place too. What does it mean in detail? Well, we want whether a few large units or many smaller units. Those units both need to be fundamentally supported by the core rules and were appreciated by the army books. The players should not be at a disadvantage when they focus on rank and flank or rank and file regiments. The single models and rank and file model regiments should become more fair in the term of basic gameplay mechanics. A single model should not be structurally at an advantage over regiments. And both should give players a wide variety of tactical and strategical options. Well, that doesn't mean that single models should become boring or that we are suddenly all hating on single models, or that they should be always worse than rank and file regiments. But the game should be less hero-centric than now, and it should make sure that point concentration in characters is not as good an option as it's currently. So that characters should still have an impact, but need support of a unit, support of magic, support of something. Not be able to basically outclass the units on their own. And the mechanics and victory conditions should also make sure that engaging the opponent is more rewarding. Yeah. So basically, characters, single models, and units should be brought in a better equilibrium, where every one of them have a reason to be fielded, a good reason to be fielded, and the mechanics and the game and the aims and objectives should be changed in a way which make it always or most times a better option to fight with the opponents than to deny these things. So non-engaging matches should be discouraged. And then we want balanced and fair play. You want to maintain a high balance level ensuring army book choices have a minimal impact on winning records and avoiding ambitious rules or unfair situations. What does that mean? Well, that should mean that no one is shooting himself in his feet, literally speaking, by taking a unit. Of course, combinations of units and how they are employed and what are they matched against should still have a big impact, but it shouldn't be, oh, you took that unit. Oops. I'm sorry, there's no way you can make that unit work. No, that shouldn't exist. Well, so basically not any thrown together combination needs to be competitive, but every entry and not every unit entry needs to be competitive at all skill levels. There are some things where, for example, Frederick or Scrap or Furion or Abrazos or well, you can go on with the top players, which you can do wonders with. And where I sit there and say, oh, I don't know how to get that thing to work. That's fine. But, of course, there should be other things which I can get to work on my level, and which you can get to work on your level, too. No matter if you are a person who would show the mentioned guys how to play, or someone between me and someone below me, you should have stuff to work. And of course it should all be so that all cases should be covered by rules, and no egregious Schengens should be made possible or intensized by the rules. So basically, movement and board behavior of units and effects should behave like one would expect, and not bring high strange surprises. Then, future-proofing the core rules. Well, basically, the rules should allow easy army book creation and adaptation for various play modes, allowing for unit diversity and flavorful factions. Well, so it basically means the rules should work on its own, without every army book needing to fix some things and some problems in its unique way. So, yeah. And it should also mean that units with bad stats and core rulebook equipment should be able to legitimately contribute to the game, and should not need to be stacked with special rules for that. And your core rules should also enable to cover a lot and create a lot of different things with them, without the need of 1,000 inventions per army book. And also the game should be able to allow different game sizes better, to scale better, to have for magic, shooting, close combat, and movement, and that all scale better on different point and table sizes. Yeah. And also, the rules should make it easy to create and embed supplements for deployment and objectives for campaigns, and also to progressively introduce people to the game easier. Well, then we want physical accessibility. What does that mean? Well, we aim for a standard game length of around 2.5 hours, not 3 or 3.5 or 4 hours, which sometimes happen. That means there's also they want to reduce the model count without reducing element count. And they want to streamline mechanics for easier understanding. Okay. Well, basically that means that the target length for standard-sized game for casual or experienced players should be 2.5 hours. And that should be achieved through allowing to use the mechanics faster and to see the results and possibilities of actions easier, to make the quicker decisions. And the game should be playable as a smaller warband and grand armies, and of course still the standard size. And should still maintain the rank and file flavor. And basically, what a lot of people call model bloat should be reduced by having units contain less models. So faster games too. Less models, but not necessarily fewer or much fewer elements. What's the difference? Well, if I've got 4 units with 60 models each, I've got 4 elements and a total of 240 models. That's a lot to paint and to glue and to assemble or to print. But if I, for example, will have 4 units of 45 models, that's still 4 elements, but 45 models less. No, 60 models less. Yeah. Then, mechanical stability and mental burden. We want to improve the rule presentation, to reduce the mental burden and memorization requirement. We want to shift to strategic decision making over micro level details. Well, basically a simpler player experience of the mechanics through 3 aspects. The rules should be easier to read and digest, less legal speaking, but still of course be tight, but more easier to read, not feeling like reading a technical manual, but still giving the informations and the clarity. The mental burdens, well, we want to reduce that. Currently a large number of things are which players have to remember, and so people have to memorize everything to take actions and plan strategies. That should be both be reduced. Should be easier for players to take an action with their troops and understand the possible actions their troops can take, including on a busy battlefield. Meaning movement should be easier. It should be easier to see, okay, can I get through these 2 units or not, and so on. And shouldn't need less micro stuff. For example, the past movement of light troops. If one did it very detail after detail, otherwise one could achieve much more than if one did it fast. Some strategy and tactics. Well, skill should still be the main factor to determine who wins a game. We want to shift the focus of which skills are the most important. We want for micro-level decisions, meaning individual model precision, precise measurement, interlocking of conditional variables, exact timing, towards more micro-level decision-making, overall strategic approach to the game, development, coordination of army movement, etc. Generally, the disadvantages gained from good faith micromanagement should be smaller than those relating to more macro choices. But of course, those micro choices could still be an important differentiator between otherwise equally matched players, particularly at higher skill levels. The main approach to skill curve should be kept as in 2.0, easy to learn but hard to master. Meaning the winning side should be determined by skill and maneuvering, such as achieving flank charges and multiple charges and or favorable unit matchups, not by the ability to memorize more rules. The improvement to the rank and file nature is also served by this to increase of focus regarding tactical cunning and maneuver, combat arms tactics, reduction of focus on the iteration of bonuses and maluses, statistics and mathematical tricks, and overly complex interaction of rules. So it should be the other way. A to C should make the game feel more appealing to newcomers than 2.0, but still with a lot of depth that can be explored once players are comfortable with the core. And then we want experimental aspects and wider appeal. We want to foster a deep connection between players and their armies, encourage enjoyable and cinematic experiences, provide fun for players of all skill level, maintain a role-play game like list building, and address problematic gameplay elements while staying true to the game's niche and goals. Pooh, what's that? Well, basically, we want to make people love their armies and be there with them for them. Then we want to make it easier for people to imagine that a movie is unfolding in front of them. So we want to more incentivizing dramatic moments, that the playing pieces do evocative cinematic things, and we want the units to have visible and tangible affecting the game and achieving things. As such, we want the rules should better incentivize and reward players for engaging each other's armies, and should better encourage players to care about their playing pieces and their exploits. Well, the game should provide an enjoyable experience for players of all skill level, and the game should be more enjoyable when there's a mismatch in skill level between players than it is now. The game should keep the role-play game-like elements to list building, basically character individualization, that should allow players to tell stories and create unique narratives through their army or character composition. The game can maintain a similar level of unintuitive cases due to necessary abstractions versus common sense or realism as currently. However, we will examine the most egregious and problematic offenders to common sense, playing in the spirit of fighting a battle, notably conga lines, and we will attempt to improve them to implement solutions that do not clash with our niche and other strategic goals. A lot of things. Enough to cover 2 long sessions. Well, yeah, that are the goals as they stood on, let me check, on July the 13th, 2023. So let's see. June, not July. The next thing was September. So, what got we there? Well, people were wondering what's happened. And well, what happened? Well, there's a team, you remember, Fusion, Dante, and Crocs delivered a first draft of the rulebook together with 3 army books that got an experimental translation. Basically, where the rules were changed to reflect the changing rules in the draft of the rulebook. And then testing started. Should start or did started. Very well. The biggest challenges so far. Well, ambitious, sometimes clashing goals. The game is complicated and dynamic. And our community has a large quantity of different point of views. So, a lot of compromise is needed. It's constantly discussing. Nevertheless, those goals existed, and there had been experiments with it. The earlier the draft is, the more experimental it is. The more often just things are tried out and looked and seen what sticks. Yeah. So, well, that doesn't mean necessarily big changes, but yeah. So the biggest challenges are our game speed. Cause it basically in a lot of things clashes with other goals, with keeping the depth of the game, fundamentals of the movement, and so on. And the cinematic stuff, it's the most hardest objective to meet. And the movement phase, well, rank and file units and single models. Because well, and knock-off effects on the game and other stuff. So, well, things were on its way, but it was expected that there will need to be changes and fine-tuning. Then a couple of new general concepts were created. So, it was decided to narrow the the eliteness range of the units. So that means units will have a lower model count and bigger and the expected goal is to have a bigger, less elite unit to be on par with smaller, more elite units more often. But of course, we have to still measuring on the effects of the whole game of that and on the army books and so on. And the rulebook will only have a few scenarios, deployments, and objectives. So the other thing is that there will be specific seasonal supplements which containing rules for both competitive and casual players. That will be rules for campaigns, tournaments, recommended points for battles, deployment objectives that should help to create a fresher game potential every year. Basically, yeah, yearly tourney packs. I know some of you were asking for that kind of stuff. I not, but I know quite some of you. And the biggest changes so far. Well, there will be changes to the magic phase. At that time, they were planned bigger than what we currently have as the changes. Yes, you can guess. So feedback has been the reason. So if you did happen to run over a leak like 2 till 4 weeks ago, I'm sorry. You can throw that leak into the bin. Basically, everything has changed since then. And Magic is No, quite different, Simon said. How different? If you want to know, well, we're always looking for playtesters. Please apply to Wallon on the board or use the apply here system of the board. Well, then the to bound chart will change. And stuff and there have been talks about solutions to one armor plus the reliable roles. There have been some backs and forths in that, but different concepts for those. Basically, making sure that a huge trash unit can still take down a single knight and stuff. Yeah. And in the psychology phase, it has been tried out to split the discipline into two different things. We'll see how that will develop, taking all feedback. Yeah. And a lot of things has to be still play tested and refined and changed and tried out and compared. Some things with bigger changes, some things with less. Well, basically, a lot has been achieved till September the 11th last year. So what happened since then? I guess we will see soon and hear soon in the next episode. So, but still play the 9A's. Bye for today. Stay tuned till tomorrow.